My name is Miranda Blount. I teach at Logansport High School in DeSoto Parish in Logansport, Louisiana. I'm a second and third grade math teacher at Logansport High School. I'm most passionate about creating a positive connection between home and school. I was raised in Logansport, Louisiana. I attended this same school and graduated in 1997 from Logansport High School. So this community and these children are very dear to my heart, as I spent many days with their cousins, aunts, uncles, and even parents. I'm teaching third grade math today. We're going to use Math Practice 3, which is construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. We're going to create success criteria to use when solving problems using Math Practice 3. And this math practice is used in multiple grade level standards in third grade. I use the Bridges math curriculum, and in each lesson in Bridges, they focus on one or more of the math practices, and this particular lesson will just be focused on Math Practice 3. We use success criteria daily in our math classes in both second and third grade. Success criteria is a list of ideas used to show mastery of the objective. The overall goal for my third grade students, of course, at the end of the year is to show mastery on their grade level standards. So this is an ongoing process that we do throughout the year so that the children can own what they're doing in their work. When they have ownership of what they're doing and they have made the criteria, then they're more likely to show their success and their mastery by following the steps that they have taken and chosen to use to show this mastery. There are multiple levels of students in this classroom. I group them accordingly so that they can help each other and they can learn from each other. I learned this strategy in TAP Cluster and brought it back to my classroom for my students to use. Together, when they're working in their groups and they're creating this criteria, they're helping each other, they're learning from each other, but then together they all own what they have created so that they are able to take this out when they're working independently to show mastery of the objective. Welcome to room 406.
Alright, so today we're going to work on our success criteria that we've worked on before. We know that success criteria is very important. Okay, so we're going to work on our success criteria together by creating some new success criteria that's going to help us with Math Practice 3. Okay, it's to construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others, which is Math Practice 3. Now, Math Practice 3 goes with all of these standards, and we don't have to read every single one of them, but we know that we solve word problems in all different areas of math, right? It could be word problems about time. It could be word problems about money. It could be word problems about something that's going on in the community. You could be having a book fair. You could be selling something. Word problems are like things that happen in our real world lives every day. And we work on word problems all the time, but today we're going to work on the success criteria that's going to help us critique each other. Now, you know what that means. What does it mean to critique someone, Victor?
To look at what they've done wrong.
Okay, to look to see if they have done something wrong. Now, sometimes it automatically tells us, Victor has done this incorrectly, let's figure out what he did wrong. Sometimes they let us decide, is this correct or is it incorrect? Okay, so we have to look at it and see if we can figure out what they've done by working the problem and so on. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on today. Okay, what do you think, Christopher?
To like say, hey Jeb, and I don't think this is correct.
Okay, hey Jeb, I don't think this is correct. So he even gave us something that he might say to you. Alright, so why is success criteria important? Hands up if you know. Why is success criteria important? Soraya.
It's important because it gives you stuff that you have to do to get the problem correct.
Let's see someone I hadn't heard from. Hadley?
It helps you understand the problem. It gives you ideas to understand the problem.
Gives you ideas to understand the problem. That sounds good too. We use our success criteria to follow a list of steps to use to be successful, like Victor said. So if we follow these steps, we know that we're likely to get this problem correct. Our last set of success criteria, we came up with read the problem. Now remember, these are just for regular word problems that we read. So we have read the problem, and our favorite one, what's the second one say? We all know.
Read the problem again.
Read the problem. Okay, thumbs up. Show of thumbs if you read it one time. Okay, if you read through it one time, I see your thumb is already up. Now, when you read it the first time, did you automatically know what you were going to do? Yes. Maybe a little. How about a thumb up, thumb down, middle thumb? There's those middle thumbs. I see a lot of those. We read it. We're not completely sure, but we already know a little bit about the problem. I want you to take a card from the colored box. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to write down some ideas and some steps for success criteria. What steps are you going to take to figure out the problem? Okay? You know that I'm incorrect, and you're trying to figure out what I've done wrong. What steps would you take?
That might be the way that you solve it, but when we're talking about success criteria, we're writing the steps down that are going to help us work through the problem.
So you're going to share ideas with your group. Now, you may have some of the same ideas. Some of your ideas may be different, right? And if they're different, is that okay? Okay, so you're going to come up with a list of what you think the success criteria should look like in order to solve the problem. Now, so before anybody starts writing, I want you to do some talking. What do you think is the most important? What do you think we need to make sure that we put on our success criteria?
Okay, so we're going to put reading first as number 1. I'll show you what then and then we can maybe in front of that we all put it down because then it would just be like all messed up. We're going to do it in hot steps. So his first, then his, then maybe yours, then mine. So Grayson, which one are you going to do first? Like on my screen? Okay. Yeah. No, like he put his first as like read a question. Since you said it first, okay. Then I want to say show your work. Wait, okay, then what are you going to say? Add or subtract the numbers. Okay, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to say read the problem again.
Okay, so what are you writing, Jen? And tell them what?
Wow. Critique others' work and tell them what to fix.
I want to
I love that.
Everyone's going to write at least one step. Okay? Let's get started. Everyone has their markers?
check your work and make sure you have no mistakes, label what you don't want.
That's actually pretty good. Look at what I'm alive.
You have to make sure you get your work right.
Yeah, that's the top thing.
I mean,
Especially show your work.
because if you get to show your work.
Okay, so I have another good one, I think. Okay, so or you can cover that up with black. But okay, so this is what I have. If you're analyzing someone's work and if you see a wrong question, you can tell them that you can correct them and say you did a wrong answer. Or you can say, you can try again because you did something wrong. So
you go right. I'm gonna write my. I'm gonna write one. You go first. Read the problem more than one.
See how this is going.
oh yeah, and if you're doing
That's perfect.
oh yeah, and if you're doing a multiplication problem, if you're doing a non-take problem,
You need to work on the board.
so you can use a strategy.
Like for
Yeah, you can use strategy.
that almost looks like an age.
You can use strategies, is that what you said? I love that. So you don't have to give a specific strategy, you can just use a strategy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to write down a whole bunch of different strategies to use. That's good. Use different strategies. what we've done here, and I want us to decide together what we're going to use for the one that we post in the front of the room. Okay, so the one that I pull off and put under the document camera when we're working on these kinds of problems, so we can check to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do to solve the problem. Okay, so y'all are going to help me decide that. So I want somebody in Victor's group to tell me what's one of the first things you think we need to do for the success criteria on critiquing the reasoning of others.
Read the problem twice.
Okay, read the problem twice. Okay, if you put that on your card here, raise your hand. If your group put something like that on the card. I think everyone in the room agrees, you put your hands down, that you must read the problem. Is there any way to solve a word problem without reading it? No. Absolutely not. So we know that's the first thing we need to do. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to pass this out to you. This is the same exact problem that's on the slide, so I don't have to pull it back up. And you're going to follow the success criteria to see if you can be successful in figuring out the answer to the problem. Okay, so Jeb, what did you say?
I said that she got the answer wrong because she forgot to bring over the numbers for ones and each.
Okay, so Titan, tell me what you said. It's very similar to what Jeb said.
Miranda did not add the extra 10, hundreds, and 1,000.
Okay, he said Miranda did not add the extra 10, the extra hundreds, and the extra thousands, which is almost basically the same thing that Jeb said. You used your success criteria, you looked at what they did, you looked at what she did, and you figured out what she did wrong. So the first thing I need you to do is give yourself an old pat on the back, because that was hard. Okay? And some of you were going, I don't know what she did wrong. And then when you looked at it again, you could figure it out. You were able to follow the steps for the success criteria. Now tell me this. Did the success criteria help you?
Yes.
Yes.
Success criteria.
Okay, you did look at it because why?
Because I thought.
Yeah, I knew that's what you were going to say. You already had it in your head. You don't have to look at it. This is what we did. We put these steps together so that these steps belong to you. Okay, it's like you own this success criteria. And when you own something, it's yours. Okay, now that we've made this success criteria, you probably won't have to look at it every time because it's right here. You helped create it, so you own it. It shows ownership. Okay, so you can go back and reflect on your own work. You can go through other people's work and you can critique what they have done. And you can also explain what they did wrong and how they can fix it. Now, I will tell you something that I noticed, and everybody in this room wouldn't notice this but me, because I was walking around. I saw someone work a subtraction problem, okay? And when they worked the subtraction problem, I was going, uh-oh, it's not a subtraction problem, is it? Okay? And then they caught their mistake, and then they fixed it, and they did an addition problem. Okay, if you're trying to find the total of something all together, what are you going to do? You're going to add. So she fixed it without me saying anything to her. She went back and looked at it, and she fixed it. Okay?
It was.
Look for the question. Everyone had to see the question, right? You had to know. All right, so when you worked out the problem, what was the correct answer, Lily?
8,000.
She said 8,011. Thumbs up or down? Look around the room. Okay, I did not see one single person miss that equation, and I'm so super proud of that. Y'all have worked on that for a long time. Now, when we were done, you put your thumbs down for just a second. I want to add one more thing in. This group said we forgot to say that we needed a label. And you know what? Since that wasn't in our success criteria, a lot of you didn't do that. 8,011 what? What were we adding up? What was the problem about? 8,011 lessons. Okay, so we know now, see, we learned something. We need to go back in and add that into our success criteria.
My students were able to master the lesson objectives by creating and using the success criteria. Not only did they create the criteria, they were able to reference their ideas and apply it to a word problem during the lesson. When I taught the lesson to the next class, I decided to model the critiquing piece with the assistance of the students so that they would have a better understanding of what it should look like and be able to provide feedback to their peers. In the upcoming lessons, we will refer to the criteria and connect it to critique our own work so that we can become accountable when critiquing ourselves in the work that we do. Thank you for learning with us today.